I'm Elizabeth Noyce, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
She looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we are live and wired to discuss and review the Supergirl Season 6 episode titled Lost Souls. And we don't have any news for this week. So I guess we'll just get right into it because we got a lot of feedback. We got a lot of things to talk about. So let's just get into it. So here is the official description provided by Veronica, the description writer. She really got back into it this week.
Veronica's back from vacation this week, and she's ready.
She's got a lot of things to say in this description. So here we go. So, quote, Supergirl finds an opportunity to escape from the Phantom Zone, but it comes with some dangerous strings attached. Ooh. Meanwhile, Lena joins the Super Friends on a mission, but finds she disagrees with their plan of action against the Phantoms and wonders if she truly is ready to be part of the team, unquote. Okay, so Morgan, a lot of stuff happened in this episode. It was pretty action-packed. But I really wanted to start discussing this episode with the most important question that I had coming out of it is, Morgan, what do you think about the Phantom Zone having storage rooms?
Listen, it's got to have storage rooms. You got to have your places to put, your Phantom Zone doodads and thingamabobs, your lawnmowers, perhaps, and your garden shears. That's what the storage facility is for on the Phantom Zone. It's just a little shed where you put, your gardening tools and your little gardening bench and your interdimensional portal to get back out of the Phantom Zone. A place that you cannot escape. Yeah, that that made me go. That was my thing that makes you go, this week. I was like, oh, I have to admit, my week has been nuts. And I watched it tonight, like basically right before we recorded. And I went, wait, I'm sorry, where are they? And I like rewound. I was like, there's just a storage facility here.
Yeah.
What are they storing in there?
That's what I was wondering. Okay, so I pulled a screenshot. It's kind of hard to see in this because the lighting was dark.
Oh my God, are they storing a stolen artwork or something?
But they did have things like in the little
like
cubby holes.
Paintings behind her. Is that from like an art heist that went wrong?
That maybe some prisoners that went inside the Phantom Zone. Maybe they have to like remove the things from the prisoners and they store the things what are they, like personal effects or something? Yeah.
So like when the prisoners come in, somebody like pats them down. They're like, "I'm sorry, you can't take this priceless artifact, a piece of art with you." And he's like, Mamma mia, but I love this Monet. And they're like, I'm sorry, Mario, you have to give it back. And I just like, what is happening? Why is there a store? I felt like I was like, wait, so a lot is happening in this episode. And a lot of it I'm liking, right? But like, how did we get to this place? How did we get to this location? Why does it exist? Are there guards? It felt like there should be guards there. But why? They're already in prison.
I know.
Is that where the Dementors go to like have a cup of coffee and gossip about all the?
Is there a break room?
That's what it felt like to me. It felt like the Phantom Zone break room.
Yeah, it sort of reminded me of like The Office from either NBC or the BBC, whatever you want to go with. So that was like my biggest question coming out of this episode.
I love the like it's like The Office because could you imagine like the camera zooms over and there's like a phantom in the corner and he just does the Jim Halpert like face into the camera. I don't know.
Yeah, they had 24 storage rooms. 24.
Like why? What are they storing?
What are they putting in there? Okay, so I think Leslie in the chat, if I can find it and bring it up, Leslie thinks they were storing extra mirrors. So just backups to the backups to the backup is what they were doing, just in case.
Hope so I had a thought while watching this episode, and it was sort of during this storage journey that we all went on. And it's when she talks to her dad and she goes, "Dad, Mom made this place. Where would she put the extra mirror?" And he's like, "Well, it is storage. So presumably anywhere." But I thought, did you tell your dad your mom's alive? Has that come up yet?
I don't remember. That's a good question.
Because she said, like, what would she do? As if maybe she wasn't with us. Like, what would she have done, Dad? And he was like, "Oh yes, my dead wife. Well, what I think about her every day. I pray for her soul. I hope she's happy wherever she is." And she's like, "Oh yeah, she is totally. She's just building new gazebos." And he's like, "In heaven? She building new No, like on Argo. It's wild, Dad." Did I forget to mention that? Did we talk about a lot of other stuff, but I forgot to mention Mom's alive?
There were a lot of really nice Kara Zor-El moments. Her holding his hand, her encouraging him not to give up hope, and him calling her daughter and Kryptonian. It was so nice. It was kind of what I was wanting from the show. But that's a really great point. So, what about Allura?
Again, I'm wrong. As always. So Leslie says, in A Few Good Women, Zor-El realized Allura was alive. And Emma says, yeah, she told him off screen. Because of course. But he mentioned it at the beginning of a scene.
Yeah, some of that, it feels like that should be a bigger part of the conversation. Like, hey, I've reconnected with both my parents now. This is really important.
Like, it feels like if I had to wonder, does he know his wife's alive? Then they maybe should have made a bigger deal out of it. Like, just underline that a little bit. Like, have him have some kind of emotional reaction of any kind. He was just like, "Oh, Allura's still kicking? Sweet."
Seems like that should be a big deal, that like everyone you thought was dead is now alive.
So good.
Yeah, so I was really struggling with this Phantom Zone interpretation because it should be a prison, but it feels like there's like a luxury storage unit facility. I did think it was interesting the way they depicted it. So I have a screenshot here of what they're looking at. The anchor is where they're going. So I thought that was really cool because once I watched this episode, I was like, are there places in the Phantom Zone? And I remembered that in Rebirth, I don't know if you remember this, Morgan, but
I'm sure I don't.
in the early parts of Rebirth, do you remember when Supergirl and Batgirl go to the Phantom Zone?
Oh yeah,
and they encountered that like mummy character. I forget what his name was, but he had like like mummy wraps all over him.
Yes.
So I remember there being like structures in the Phantom Zone in that interpretation of it, and I had sort of forgotten about that. So there is some precedence for having a building in the Phantom Zone. I just never thought it would be looking like, a corporate office somewhere that has a break room.
I think the problem is that once you start adding structures and buildings that aren't caves to the Phantom Zone, you open a book of questions that I don't know that they want you thinking about. Like, wait, who built that? Wait, where'd they get the supplies? Wait, did several people build it together? I thought everybody hated each other here and trying to murder each other. Wait, why would they build it? Wait, was somebody in charge and did they think about this? And where they put blueprints together and then they got and then they hired did they hire a bunch of Phantom Zone
They
prisoners?
have like contractors with construction worker hats on.
Like, wait, who did the site the inspection? Is it up to code? Is that building up to code? and so now you have more questions that are never going to have answers.
Never going to get answers to.
I think we've established that the thing I care about most in all of Supergirl is random pieces of real estate. And I must know the answers.
Well, it is a little weird because didn't they make a big deal about how the Phantoms that we've been all like chasing and trying to track down, that they had turned into the guards? So were the guards the Phantoms?
I mean, I feel like it. Like they threw a bunch of prisoners in there, but there were no rules. There was no like warden, is what I got. And then they threw in the Phantoms and they were like, ooh, Dementors. And then they kind of became the guards of the Phantom Zone. So do you think that like all the Phantoms got together and had like a little Phantom chat and they were like, okay, well, Steve really wants to build some storage units. And I don't know. I said, Steve, what do you got to store? And he was like, I can't stop stealing paintings. And so we got to make this thing happen for Steve. Like, I don't like what scenario. I love that. Like, we haven't talked about the context of this episode, but we've spent 15 minutes on the storage unit. This is what people come to Supergirl Radio for. They're like, what irreverent detail are they going to be like hyper focused on this week?
I just think it's unusual, and I had a lot of questions about it. And then we were told that there's a mirror. So I thought it was the mirror was a throwback to Supergirl the movie, when Supergirl goes in and out of the Phantom Zone through a mirror. Of course, that also happens in sort of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, as well as the Smallville interpretation, where they're kind of stuck in the thing. And so that's kind of mirror-like, but it also sort of reminded me of Harry Potter, which I thought was fitting since this whole season has been kind of a ripoff of Harry Potter.
Do. I didn't finish the whole thing, so we don't have to pay for that.
So a little bit of mirror of Erised stuff going on. So they I thought what I thought was really cool about it, though, the mirror that had a backup to the backup to the backup. So what I thought was cool about it is that apparently the righteous has to activate it. And that's why Nixley could not do it. She was not righteous. Kara, Supergirl, was righteous. And I was like, okay, all right. As a Kara fan, I feel good about this. Thank you.
Yes, she is. She's worthy for that.
Yeah. I appreciate that. So I did like that, and it was interesting that Nixley, of course, as we sort of predicted, she took a turn. She took a left turn, and
I was like, "Who could have seen this coming?"
Just like you said, she wanted to get out and wanted to cause mischief on Earth because that's the only way to get home.
What I thought was funny was that one scene where she was in the storage area, kind of going like, "Ooh, I'm among the parcels wrapped up back here that somebody has stored for some reason," and then all of a sudden there's just like, "Ow!" and I was like, "All right, what's going on here? None of this I trust. None of this I trust." I thought Jor-El was like in on it because
I thought so too. I questioned him in that moment.
His scream was not convincing. And somewhere off in the corner, Jor-El's like, "I'm sorry. That's just how I scream in pain."
Yeah, I was worried he was working with her, but she of course explains that she's the one who attacked him, and she created like the little scar to throw everybody off. So I thought that the turn for her, I thought, was well done. I've started to really like Nixley as a character, and I discovered she's actually in the comics. Kind of a random appearance in some Superman comics. So we'll have to do a character spotlight on her because I want to learn more about her appearance in the comics. Too. I thought she was an original character, but she's actually in the comic book canon, as it were.
So I have a question about the fate of Zor-El, aka Jason Bear. Still keeping it tight.
Still looking good.
They're looking so good. Even injured with his ankle and his very manly scream of pain that was like, oh, Kara, help. Was he still in the storage? Was the storage area like a bunch of buildings? Was it one building? Did they go from one storage area to another storage area far away? Like when it blew up, was Jason Bear in danger? I didn't know how I should feel because I have no concept of where anything is in space and time.
I think they said that so at some point, let me see. Let me do a search in my notes real quick.
Because he was in a place and then they left him.
Yes, they had to leave him because he had gotten injured. They said the anchor had not only supply rooms, 24 storage rooms.
Of course.
It also had barracks. So I guess
who's sleeping there?
I guess the guards who have to go work. So I don't know if he's in like the barracks facility. I don't know, but I don't think he was in the same place they were in.
Okay,
when it exploded. I think Jason Bear's okay. I think
that was a tough moment for me.
I think he's okay.
I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet.
But that's a good question, though. Do you think Nixley is dead?
No, definitely not. Although, given the timing of what we saw, she should be. But I don't think that she is.
I think at this point she's too good of a character, and she and Supergirl have a head-butting relationship now. I wouldn't kill her at this point.
So I have a counterpoint to that, Rebecca, and you know what it is, and it's Mercy Graves. Wait, remember when they just killed her for no reason? So she was great. We all loved her,
and she had so much more story to tell too.
So much more story, and they were like, "Not for you."
That is true.
But I think the fact that Mrs. Pillick is going to be back at some point this season really points in the direction of her having made it.
Yeah, I have a feeling she's going to make it out of there okay. So she might turn into the big bad this season. I don't know. That's not where I saw the final season of Supergirl going, as her going up against a female fifth dimensional imp. So I guess the show surprised me.
You know what we had last season was Leviathan, so this seems great to me.
This is a real big step up.
I'm gonna take it.
We at least know who the big bad is in this.
I haven't heard about a product launch once this season yet. So
still don't know who the head of Leviathan is. It is now episode 4 of season 6. But you know what? Who cares anymore? Who's keeping track? Rebecca, let it go. It's gonna be fine.
We will never know. We will never know. And so in my brain, it can always be Lena Luthor's mom. AKA Katie McGraw in just a red wig.
That's what it is. Until we are told otherwise. So I don't think she's dead either. I don't think this is the last we've seen of Nixley. So I really enjoyed their dynamic. I mean, once she made that turn, Supergirl was like, I don't know about this. Although she tried to save Nixley. She did try to save her. Not real hard, but she tried to save her.
I was so shocked that Nixley didn't figure out what Supergirl was going to do until way too late, where she's like, you're going to hit me with that thing. And she's like, got this heavy thing. And there's a mirror, a very breakable mirror right next to me. And then she looks at the thing, and then she looks at the mirror, and Nixley's like, you're going to hit me with it. And she's like, no, sir.
There's no more backups. This is the only backup for the mirror. I don't know what else is in the storage room facility, but this apparently is the only mirror that they had.
What if she finds Jor-El next episode, and he whispers, everything in the storage unit is a backup mirror? I didn't want her knowing, but we're good.
Yeah, so this is getting a little more interesting for me. I'm really starting to like the Phantom Zone stuff now, especially since we got a lot of good Kara moments. We got some Kara Zor-El moments, which had been lacking, and for me personally. And Nixley has turned out to be quite a character. So I'm really liking the Phantom Zone stuff. So this episode had really increased my optimism for the season. And just one episode, that's all it took. It was a decent episode. So I was like, okay.
Made me feel very good about the season. I was finally like, okay, let's just say that the season started here. I'm good. I'm good with that. I think we'll all just agree the season started right here.
Yeah.
Because it was a good episode. I really enjoyed it. I liked everything going on. And the Phantom Zone stuff was like really interesting. And it felt for the first time like it was very much a Kara story. And you know that because Kara got to give a nice hope speech, which I was like, you know what? Props to Kara for being able to figure out how to fit a hope speech into the Phantom Zone. She was like, you know what I think we all need here, people? And I wanted her dad to be like, oh, no, not a hope speech. Honey,
do you think she was doing that as a young
I want
Kara?
to think that she was. She was like, with her friends, they couldn't figure out their homework. She's like, guys, we cannot just give up. And they're like, Kara, stop it.
Yeah, so I think the Phantom Zone is starting to gel, and the episode ends in a really, for me, a very juicy place because now Kara is on her own in the Phantom Zone. She's separated from Nixley, who I don't think is dead. She's separated from her father. So now she's going to have to really Supergirl up. So for me, that's very exciting. So I'm very happy where this is. It took a little while and it was frustrating to get here, but I'm glad we're at least here now. So I don't know if this is when Melissa Benoist came back to shoot. I don't know if this is the point where like she shows up. But I thought the Phantom Zone stuff was good in this one.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So is there anything else about the Phantom Zone that you wanted to discuss?
I'm trying to think if there was anything else. I enjoyed the fight between her and Nixley, and I liked that whole I mean, obviously I think like a lot of us saw it coming that Nixley was like maybe not on the up and up, but I did like that turn when she was going to like, okay, time to go get my dad. She was like, why do you want to get your dad? Your dad's the worst. I kind of feel like Nixley wasn't going to turn on her. She was going to be like, hey sister, let's be friends.
She called her honey at one point. She's like Kara, honey.
Like she was ready to be BFFs. Listen, she was ready to jump through that mirror and then like, you know, watch some chick flicks. It wasn't until she was like, well, I gotta go back and get my dad. He's Jason Bear. He still looks so
You've
good.
Got to save Jason
Bear.
Gotta
save Jason Bear. He's a treasure. And she was like, wait, I thought we agreed we hate dads. Everybody here hates dads, right? Like I thought the fact that they kept it in character with the backstory that she had given in the previous episode, which I honestly was like, I don't even know if this backstory is real, but it does seem based on her, like how she was like, no, everybody knows that dads are awful. Your dad's awful too. And she was like, my dad was a super chill one who didn't even have a reaction when I told him mom's still alive. That one? I think he's pretty okay. I think he's fine.
Yeah, I was glad that they did more of the connecting to their fathers because at one point they had kind of done it, but they didn't like pull that thread real hard. And this time around, I think they did. So I thought that was good. And boy, when Nixley made that turn, she was like, you know, I should have slit his throat when I had the chance. And I was like, dang.
I know. I was suddenly like, ooh, all right, now we're talking. Now we've got a villain.
Yeah. so that was quite the turn. It wasn't just, hey, I'm a villain. It was like, hey, I'm a villain. So I was glad to see that we've got I think she's a good character so far. So I'm liking the introduction of her.
And I liked how they connected to the two different stories in a way where it wasn't just a bunch of people saying power.
Right.
Which is how it can be sometimes on this show. But
they totally could have, yeah.
Like we have to do, but they showed that, you know, Supergirl makes a sacrifice for the greater good. And then we have the Super Friends on the other side making a sacrifice for the greater good.
Right.
And instead of having that there be like a keyword there that everybody says, it was just like they just let the audience get there. And it was so nice. Like it was so nice that Kara didn't just say, I have to do this for the world as she like smashed the mirror or something. Like
yeah, that's true. That's a really great point. Kara and Alex were paralleled in both situations, that they both had to, you know, hit something or connect something, you know, like an object with something else. That's a really good point. And that is the way that most TV shows operate, where they just write the story.
But see, I expect there to be like a life lesson that they're going to spell out explicitly for me, or like a word of the episode, kind of like a Sesame Street episode. So when it's just kind of good mirroring writing, I appreciate that. I'm like, oh, cool. Like I can see that Car's journey and Alex's journey are, on the same path, just in different directions, and I can make that connection because it's obvious. And you don't
have to hold my hand. There
doesn't have to be a word that ties it together. Is the thing.
Let me figure this out. Let me get there. Yeah, yeah. Let the audience get there. So I'm with you. I think the writing was significantly improved in this episode. So that was a relief. So I guess since we sort of talked about Alex, what did you think about the Super Friends and the Phantoms, and then finding the Prime Phantom layer and the restoring of the life force and all of that? What did you think about that storyline?
Oh boy, there was so much exposition that I barely followed, and I would rewind it. I'm like, wait, hold on, what's this? And then I'd rewind it, and I'd be like, Morgan, you don't care, and that's the truth. I was like, I was like, you know what? Rebecca probably took some notes on it, and I don't care. But I feel like what you really needed to know, you didn't need to follow the specifics, because the specifics are insane.
There's a lot of science gobbledygook.
It was a lot of made up nonsense. What you really needed to know was that the Phantoms were going to create like a worldwide problem,
a global
pandemic, mind you. I almost stopped it at that point and walked away from it. I was like,
you're not being clever. Just stop.
I almost took the mask in my house and threw it at the television. Like, shut up! You don't know. No one wants to live that again. Would you be quiet? Would you be silent? And let us enjoy a Supergirl story while we're all still stuck indoors. You monsters. I was like, oh my God. But like the key points were just that the Phantoms were going to basically, it's like a, gotta save the world scenario. And when you put all the other stuff aside and you just focused on that, like the story made narrative sense. And the emotions made sense. Like when I tried to get like down into the weeds of, okay, wait, so the little bit of Megan's soul is repelling her from the Phantom like a magnet.
I mean, you understood that really well. That's what the problem was.
Yeah. That was like where I was like, stop, Morgan, stop thinking. You're thinking.
You stopped at the double soul dilemma, which makes no philosophical, theological sense whatsoever.
I was watching it, right? And you see they're doing this chase scene through, flying around with Megan and the Phantom. And I thought, this CGI is not great.
It was rough in this episode.
Was like, they were like, we don't have the budget to zoom in on her because I guess we can't put the actress in a harness. We're not going to do that. So just from afar, imagine, paint in your mind a picture of Megan. Keep it there. Think about her face. Now superimpose that face on this stick figure. All right, go. And so I was like squinting at the screen, like, is that Megan? Is it? And then all of a sudden she was like, whoa, and was falling. And I was like, why does she need Jean to save her? Like, what's going on here? Like, she can't fly through the air. And then that's when after that they explained the magnet theory, which makes no sense. But at least it gave it, because before that I was honestly a little mad. I was like, come on, just let her fly, man. She's not doing anything complicated at all. What did she like got the vapors while she was flying? And I think had you had that close-up shot of her like beginning to become the Phantom, which, yeah, I don't know, maybe they cut for time. They love doing that. They like
to cut stuff. Yeah.
Then I would have understood like what was happening. But as it was, I was watching a tiny dot, and then I watched the tiny dot fall, and that was it. And I was like, what's happening here?
What happened was their budget went to Superman and Lois. So
Uh-huh,
that's what happened.
Just like all the promotion.
Yes, they're already advertising 4 weeks from now. Superman and Lois is coming back. Don't you worry, Superman and Lois is coming back.
Like how insulting is that? It's like, oh, have you been missing Superman and Lois? Don't worry, this show you're watching now will be off. Excuse me? No, this is the one I wanted to watch. What are you doing?
It's not a great look, in my opinion, but I think that's maybe where the effect budget went. Anyway, so I guess since we're talking about sort of the life force and the soul dilemma,
yeah.
could we and I know Nicole is in the chat, so if she wants to hop on, she offered to come and talk about sciencey things with us. So if she
nice. They completely made that up as they went along.
So Nicole, if you're in the chat,
if she can make any rhyme or reason, I will be shocked.
And you want to hop in and into the StreamYard link and talk about some science stuff with us, I guess we'll kind of, since we're here, we might as well talk about it. So I guess I was curious, Morgan, what were your thoughts on so they need Kara's DNA to be able to track her?
Makes sense. Now I'm with them there.
Okay. So what's the question I'm trying to ask? Did it make sense that they used digital DNA, digital life force?
So I had a lot of questions about that. And I'm not a scientist, but like, what is digital DNA? That seems made up. And would that work just as well? This made up thing? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe digital DNA is all the rage nowadays. I don't know. I don't want to judge.
I mean, digital life force. I don't know how that works.
Is that like your Sims character that they download it for her?
I don't. Maybe it's some Kryptonian technology where like her voice and her body are recorded in this legacy download crystal, and I guess it's somehow. But I guess if Nicole is ready, we'll bring Nicole in here.
Yeah, I think so. I think we need help.
my question. So just want to bring in Dr. Nicole Green, who is our Supergirl Radio science consultant, who did offer to bring us some thoughts. So thankfully, because we have a lot of questions,
always appreciate it.
So we'll bring Nicole in. How you doing, Nicole?
Oh, I'm doing well. I also have a lot of questions.
Yes.
Digital DNA and digital life forces.
So my question, I guess, for you, and maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but wouldn't it be easier to get Kara's DNA through her hair or through some sort of something in her apartment?
Does Kara not brush her teeth? I feel like that's a big concern I'm having now.
I mean, for like a normal person, yes, that's what you would do. You'd go get a reference sample from their house in whatever way. Like all of it would work. Saliva would work, hair. I think after having conversations with people online, because this is not an actual scientific concept, we agree that Kryptonians didn't shed cells. That's the only way that any of this makes sense. So there's like,
but they didn't explain that in the episode. That would have been helpful. I think
they just assumed that we knew that. They're like, well, we can't use her regular DNA because,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why it doesn't make sense with the current storyline, the current narrative that they constructed, but it really truly cannot make sense if they're not going to be shedding cells, which I was like, if she's invincible and she can't get injured, like clearly maybe those cells don't slough off. Because that's part of it. Like to get like a saliva sample, you would have to, it's like the cells that are in your cheek and things that the scientists are going to collect and extract DNA from. But remember that Kara cut her hair in season 5. So somewhere out there are like bang samples.
Bangs have become so important now.
That's why I tweeted that. I was like, well, I thought that was a dumb question until now it's super relevant. Where's the hair? I'm saying.
That is so funny because now the problem that they have encountered, which I thought was a good storyline for Lena and Alex to have this whole fight, but we can talk about that in a second. But the problem now is they've decided that the only way to get DNA from Kara is to travel back in time.
Sure.
To get her DNA. I mean, guess when she's either poisoned by kryptonite or she solar flares, that seems to be the only two options. So I guess one of the two is going to happen in that episode. But now they're having to.
So when that happens, are they just going to like tackle her and just rip out a strand of her hair and run away? Is that the plan?
Well, here's my thing is how do they like this is Alex's memory, right? She got her memories back restored after Crisis.
After she was putting things in the microwave.
Oh, poor Swiss cheese brain Alex.
The assumption that event happened the way she remembered it.
Oh yeah.
Because everything else is like subject to being reset. Like how do we even know? You think that that's the last time she solar flared, but we're in an entirely different timeline. Are you sure? Like, are you really sure that this is the time we need to go back to? And why that time? Why not Red Tornado? I don't know. Like that seemed very arbitrary. I was like, if you want to go back to Midvale, just like go back to Midvale.
It's because they don't have the Red Tornado makeup anymore. They don't have the budget for it.
They ran out of all that red, so
that was season 1 makeup budget. So they don't have that anymore. So I was just like laughing. I was like, we have to go back in time to get Kara's DNA. That's
time
a
travel,
real stretch.
Time travel has never been the appropriate answer, I feel like.
Well, that's true.
I watched Legends and I watched a bit of The Flash. That's never the best idea.
They're just gonna mess something up. Something important they're gonna mess up for sure.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I mean I don't know how much DNA you get from a digital life force extraction from a legacy crystal. But like when we do this in the lab, if you extract DNA, you don't necessarily have to use it all in one go. I feel like I thought Lena was smarter than that. That you don't use your whole sample and like ruin it with one try. So I was just really caught up on why do we only have one sample for this device? Like I get that maybe we have to do like another attempt. We've got another trial we need to use our device on, but why do we not even have more DNA from our original source? That is not how it typically works in the lab from a sample as well.
Yeah, Lena went all in. Lena was so excited to be part of the team. Maybe she got a little too excited.
I don't know. I had a lot of. I'm still hung up on the fact that DNA is like a physical concept that we have in our cells. It's a molecule that you can see, and they equated that with a life force. And then apparently we digitized that and captured it in a crystal, which Brainy said that a life force was similar to the concept of a soul. So I was like, we're saying physical cell debris is now equivalent to our soul, which I was like, that's
immaterial. Like so you can't
that
see
means
or
that, like
feel
every time like I lose a hair, it's like, oh no.
A piece of you has floated off into the ether. Like, it's not forever. I don't know.
I'm going to be so much sadder now when I shed. I'll be like, oh gosh.
Yes, you should like.
Goodbye, little Morgan.
The soul aspect of it is a little bit frustrating for me, just on a I don't know, somewhat of a theological level. Just the idea that you can lose it and it can fly around the city, and then you can just restore it, and then somehow you can have double the soul. It's just like, what is all this? What is happening?
How much soul does Megan have now? Because she's got does she have double soul now? Like, what does that?
18 at one point 18% of her was still phantom, so I think she had 72% at some point. I don't know, but I think it was 100%
now.
I think she's fully restored now after they did that thing with the chrysalis. Yeah,
because her soul flew back from the chrysalis, but then she had that little piece of soul in her already. So is she like? Does she have so much soul now? and what does that mean for her day-to-day life? Is she going to be like, I can great works of art are just coming to me?
Where she can get some great works of art?
The Phantom Zone. Maybe all the works of art in the Phantom Zone are just things that Megan painted in her mind.
I would buy that actually. So Nicole, were there any other aspects of the science parts of this episode that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I think you guys have sort of touched on. I like literally made a map earlier. I was trying to figure out, because there are all these elements. There's like, for Lena's device to work, she has to have like Magan's temporary phantom sensing powers and her Martian mind hunting. And then the Phantom, she said she's gonna, so I guess with her device, the Q waves, which I still don't understand. The more I try to read about them, the less I know. I know even less than I understood in season 5, when there was this like mystical neuroscience-y element to it, which I was like, okay, I buy that. I don't really like neuroscience is hard. The brain is a mystery. Like, okay, fine. And that is like, okay, so you need Q waves. And then she says something. I watched this scene like 4 times because I was like, I do not understand. He's using, Lena has 2 answers right now, guys. Q waves and nanobots. Those are 2
yes.
that she has.
Those are standbys, definitely.
Yes, exactly. So she's like, and my nanobots are busy mapping the Phantom, the Prime. I don't remember if it was the General Phantom or the Prime Phantom. She's like, they're busy mind mapping that. And this is somehow sensed by my device, but also I need DNA for some reason that I'm going to put in this device. And that's going to like be how we track things, which I still don't understand. But then like at the end, suddenly, because we need new DNA. So we're like, okay, I get it. Like you blew up the DNA sample somehow. That was a mistake. You should have had a backup, but whatever.
Like Alora's Phantom Zone mirrors. Yeah.
So many mirrors, and we have one DNA sample.
Gotta have backups.
And then they were like, she's like, instinct, the Phantom will track on instinct like a bloodhound. And I was like, I don't understand that, because like bloodhounds, from what I understand, are sensing like scent. So they're not doing this by DNA. It's by scent, which again requires sweating and like normal cellular activities, which I assume based on the fact that Kara doesn't shed cells, that she doesn't sweat.
No, Kryptonians actually, that's a thing that they don't sweat. They're not supposed to.
I looked this up and I was like, no sweat, no scent. So I was like, because I was like, well, maybe just like go get Kara's like dirty laundry or something. Like that seems easier again than DNA from a different timeline. That's also in her apartment, I assume, but that also doesn't exist. So I'm really lost as to how they're going to move forward with the DNA if they go back and that goes well in the like previous timeline and in the past. It's like, I still don't get this. You've introduced a hostile element of a Phantom you now have to take along with you into the Phantom Zone, when before you just had to take like a device.
And like he's not a bloodhound, because bloodhounds are, they're pets. Like he's unless they're domesticating this Phantom, I don't know how this is going to go for them.
I don't understand. I'm afraid for how that's going to go. Obviously, all that exposition I slowed down and I listened to multiple times, and I don't understand it. I'm just going to suspend disbelief. So I was like, that's fine. I'm just going to be excited about Alex and Lena working in her lab. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have new lab environment for me to look at. So I took a screenshot and I was like looking at it, and I was like, okay, like this looks more normal. This looks like a lab that I would actually work in. And I think some of Donna had tweeted me and was like, oh, look, they're like wearing safety glasses this week, which I was so excited. Because I was at home at my parents' and they don't have CW affiliates apparently in the deep south of Illinois, where there's only farmland. So I had to watch it. So I saw this picture and I was like, oh, this is incredible. I love this like science team up. I've always wanted to see this. This is great. They're bonding. And I was like, look at them wearing safety glasses. And then I was like, what is that thing? Like, what? And I was like, okay, it's red. Usually they love to make like a laser, like red. It kind of looks like a laser cutter, I guess. And then I was like, wait, you can't look straight at a laser. Like, go blind. So I just want to say to anyone who watched this and they're like, ooh, yes, I'm going to do this. Don't look straight at a laser. Like,
that sounds dangerous.
Like a lot of laser cutters, I was trying to read about this because this is not what I do, but we have lasers on our microscope and it says, do not look at this laser, you will go blind. And so they're staring at this laser and I was like, you know what? We need like just the glasses, the safety goggles. Brainy needs to like put microdots on them. And when they put them on, they just need to be like engulfed in a full like hazmat suit. Like just like a suit that protects them against everything, because they cannot be trusted to wear the appropriate, like they don't take the appropriate safety measures, and obviously they're fine. But
I laughed so hard when she was like, "Okay, get in here," and she gave her the goggles, and I thought she was also gonna just like pass her a pair of open-toed shoes. Like, come on, girl.
If you're gonna do it, you got to do it my way.
That one was stressful for me. I was like, we literally do trainings on this.
on how to not do what they're doing right now.
Yeah. They're like, no, because you're literally like, you'll burn a hole in your retina.
That's a problem.
Yeah, you don't.
That's
bad. No.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, still bad safety, still no safety tools in the background of the lab. So like we're consistent. Like we're consistent at least on Supergirl.
It felt like one step forward, but like 5 steps back. Like they remembered that safety goggles might be a thing that they would need to wear, but then they have them staring directly at a laser.
Exactly. They make special glasses for that. They have like particular shielding for the like wavelength of light. They could have looked really cool. They would look like big, oversized Ray-Ban sunglasses. Like it still would have been aesthetically pleasing. They just didn't do it.
Claudia asks an important question. Does the new lab have a sink? Have you spotted anything?
Great question, Claudia. I did not spy a sink. So they're not doing anything apparently that requires liquids. Although I will say, there was no like food coloring sitting around in like open glassware like they love to do on TV sets. So that felt more real, that there was just like glassware with clear liquids if there were. Yeah, no safety showers, no eye washes. I think Julia asked about that last time. I like the layout better. I really hated the round lab benches of Luthor Corp labs. That really bothered me. But
oh, right.
Yeah, so I mean, I would work in that lab. I wouldn't let Lena be in charge of safety again.
That would be wise. That would be wise. She just started wearing closed-toed shoes in the lab, so it's a baby
she's
step.
Poor. She's poor now, so she can't afford those lab fines. I'm just saying, like, she's got to be more careful.
Yeah, what is she gonna do now? I guess she's living off that Luthor trust fund, I guess.
I guess so.
We'll see what she's doing.
I hope she invested well.
Because she's still using L Corp technology to make her Ghostbusters proton pack.
That's true.
So, true. So did you have any thoughts about that, Nicole? In terms of getting the Phantoms out?
I know nothing about the science that is supposedly behind that, but I do identify with that idea that you're like, I was really excited and I was like a little too gung-ho about doing this new project, so I stayed up all night. That felt real, and also kind of that meta moment where she's like, don't compare what I've done, my real science, to a movie, and then like 12 minutes later, she's like, I'm going to do some really bad science from movie writing. And then like me, a scientist, is sitting there going, no, we understand how this works in real life. Why?
Yeah, her proton pack was good. It was definitely a ripoff of Ghostbusters, but it worked. They got them what they needed to do, was taking out those Phantoms who were becoming enlarged. That was an interesting twist, that they could get bigger. So that was a big problem that they had to fix.
I wanted the Phantom to get like Stay Puft Marshmallow, like the Marshmallow Man size, but they never
amazing.
Never happened.
Then she needs to make more of those proton packs. They're going to need more than one.
Well, at least 3.
At least 3 others. So there's 4 of them, and they might need matching jumpsuits just to really sell that look.
Just to be safe.
I want Super Friends, Super Science Team jumpsuits. I think that'd be great.
Yeah,
I'm sure Lena's working on that now. As she was overeager, like I hope she would be in this episode. She's definitely like screen printing those jumpsuits as we speak.
Definitely, and everybody has their names on it.
Yeah,
that's definitely happening. There was no "Don't Cross the Streams" reference, but maybe that's coming if they're gonna use that proton pack a little bit more. So I thought it was good. She made it work. So Nicole, are there any other science related things that you wanted to discuss from this episode while we have your expertise with us?
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like the 2 big points of contention were like why the DNA for this particular device, and why not going to her apartment? Like, could you not get that DNA in any other way? And it seemed like they said, we don't care about your science. We don't care about the narrative. We're going back to the past. So I'm also very excited to see how they're going to like collect and maintain this sample. Like, what are we getting? And we'll see what happens. I imagine there will be like many shenanigans. I'm very excited to see Brainy and Nia go to the past. Like, I'm not upset about that at all, but scientifically, there's no reason for it.
Yeah, it's a very Legion of Superheroes move. There's an episode of Superman the animated series where the Legion of Superheroes goes back into Clark Kent's past when he's in Smallville. So I'm pretty sure the Legion has done this many times, probably in the comics. So this I like it from a comic book standpoint. It feels very comic booky to me. Yeah. So I'm very excited about that. But yes, so you'll have to let us know about the sampling, because I know from my experience,
they're not going to handle that thing properly. I'll tell you that much for free.
Yeah. Working with the collections group and the museums that I work for, there's a lot of talks about, collections and specimens and things like that, and how you have to take care of them and how they can be tainted if something goes wrong, especially in research projects. So I'm very curious how they do that. And if they, because I assume there's probably a way that you could probably screw that up.
Yeah, I mean, luckily DNA, I assume they'll take like a blood sample or a saliva sample. Seems less aggressive, but it's pretty stable. I don't know how it passes through time. That's a new element that we've never tested. So we'll see how that goes. I assume it will be fine. But yeah, it's we'll see what happens. I feel like they're gonna mess something up interacting with Kara. There seems like there was an easier way to like go back and be like, hey Alex, just like take a blood sample, forget about it, like put it in a drawer somewhere, and we'll need that sample later. But it turns out I'm still like I'm
they just get like little Alex and they're like, this is gonna sound weird, but if we give you $50, will you?
Right? I can't believe neither Alex nor Lena at any point. I mean, Lena would have definitely gotten in trouble for this, but like there has to be like a sample that somebody took at some point of like Kara's hair or Kara's like saliva, like when she solar flared. That seems like a thing as a scientist. If I were like, it seems like a good opportunity. Let's like take this. We can put it in the fortress to keep it safe, even though you can just walk in and out of the fortress. Portal in, I don't know, but I'm like, there seems like there should have been another DNA sample collected for this very reason at some point. And I guess there wasn't, though. So here we are. Now we have to time travel to correct poor scientific planning.
All of this talk of Kara's blood reminds me of, I hate to bring this up, but it reminds me of Smallville when they had where they had a storyline where Clark's blood could heal people. Like it was, it could do good things. So so there was some storyline related to Clark's blood. So that is going to be interesting to see how they do the collecting of that sample. It'd probably be a lot of shenanigans and fun times, because Brainy and Nia going back into the past to Midvale seems like a good time. So I'm actually pretty excited for the first time. Like I'm excited for an episode. So that's a good thing. I will appreciate it from that standpoint. Okay, well, Nicole, we're going to let you go, and you're going to come back to make some snap judgments. You want to make some snap judgments with us?
Perfect.
Awesome. So we'll remove you. We'll wrap up our discussion, get to some feedback, and we will bring you back in. So thank you for sharing your thoughts, Dr. Nicole Green, with us about science, and we'll have to maybe pick your brain another time if it arises.
Absolutely.
All right, so we will take Nicole out and we'll bring her back in at the time. So
always great to get our science correspondent on here.
well, now we're gonna have to get a jingle, some sort of sound effect.
I know.
Yeah, we're gonna need to get some sort of science. I'll have to record something or other. So we'll work on that. So I guess, Morgan, just to kind of wrap up wrap up the thoughts about the Phantoms and all that. Was there anything else you wanted to discuss in terms of the stuff that was happening on Earth?
I liked the Earth stuff. I thought it was really good. I thought it was strong. I liked the I liked that I called that Lena was going to be weird and overeager about like what are friends? How do you interact with human people? Like she's like, oh, my friends are robots. Is this too much? I made you a Ghostbuster. I was like, yes, this is the exact energy I hope to see from Lena, and it's paying out, and I'm loving it. Like just her being like, I stayed up all night because I'm part of the group now, you guys. I'm part of the group, and I thought that was really great. I continue to love her interactions with Brainy. They've really like hit on something fun with those two characters where she's like, okay, and here's this proton thing, and he's like from Ghostbusters, and she's like, no, it's my genius. I stayed up all last night, and he's like, yeah, from like the great movie Ghostbusters, and she's like, I will kill you.
They even had the moment where she says, don't you need instructions for this? And he's like, I'm a 12th level android. I'll figure it out. And I was actually surprised that they actually adhered to that. I thought something was going to go wrong.
Up. I was like, please just let him be smart for like a second.
But they let him have that. So I was happy about that. So they have had some really good interactions between Lena and Brainy.
Yeah, and I loved the fight between, well, not fight, but like the conversation between Alex and Lena when Alex realizes that they're going to have to overwrite the whatever it is, the one sample of DNA. I also thought it was really funny that she was like, "Are you sure you want to like lose this recording? Like it's the only one you have." And I was like, "Do you not have a cell phone? You can't just record that on your phone, like."
Yeah, why not? You could just make a copy of it.
You can't just like make a TikTok of that or whatever the kids are doing these days.
TikTok.
So I thought that was one moment that like just made me laugh. I was like, come on, guys, we all have video recorders with us at all times. This is not as big of a deal as you're making it out to be.
Well, maybe it won't show up on video like Kryptonian technology. Maybe it doesn't translate.
That would make sense. So too much sense. So obviously it didn't make it in. But that whole conversation that they were having where Alex is like, we have to save the world. And Lena was like, screw the world. We have to save Kara. And I was like, you know what? I love this. I just love this because I feel like Alex is definitely the one character in that whole group of people who is most likely to be like, forget about it. We got to save my sister. And she had to kind of fight back that instinct because Jean is the first one who's like, we have to do this. We have to focus and prioritize the Phantoms first. And Alex was not happy about that. But then a little bit later, she's the one who realizes like, for the world, we have to give up this, basically this one chance that it feels like that we have to save my sister. And so now like that Lena's kind of joined Team Supergirl. This is kind of her first time where she's got to realize, like, put the world in front of what she wants, which is to save Kara. And I thought that was a really strong scene. And it was really in character for Lena to be like, yeah, but no, I don't, like, the world is great, right? But, like, the world is great, but, like, Kara is better than the world, right? We all agree with that. And like, what, who cares if she comes back and it's a hellscape with a bunch of Dementors rolling around, then she'll fix it, right? And then we'll all go for gelato. I was following Lena. I was like, but I thought that was, it was nice to give them kind of a little butting heads, but it wasn't like contentious because Alex was kind of on her side. She's like, listen, that's what I want to do 100%, but it can't be what we do. And I thought that was a good way of showing like how much Alex has grown as a character and how strong her connection is to Kara, but also how much Kara inspires her and all of these characters to put people in front of herself. And Lena like stepping into this role, kind of going, okay, well, I couldn't do that today. And I guess that means that I'm not part of Team Supergirl. And Alex is like, this is your first day. Could you chill? Could you stop trying to give us matching jumpsuits and cool nicknames? No one wants those. And just help us out. Like you were actually important. Not everybody. It's hard to do this thing that we do.
Yeah, and I liked that we got to see Alex's DEO training, her time as a director, come. I mean, she had to make an executive decision that that had to be done in order to save the world, and it was something that she had to sort of forcibly take that device from Lena.
I kind of like that too.
She had to make that choice.
I think Lena definitely understood where Alex was coming from, and I think even kind of understood and like agreed, but Lena could not do it. Like, she physically couldn't do it. She was gonna hold on to that thing. They were gonna have to like get into a slap fight. So I like that, even though Lena was like, okay, like I understand, it's like I can't do it. And some of that is about her being really guilty about her actions last season. She did a couple of small things, but it's also, this is her best friend, and sure, they've just gone through this whole big thing, and she just got her back, and now she's got the guilt of being, part of kind of abandoning her again. I thought that was interesting. I thought that they did a really good job with the character beats this episode, whether it was Brainy stress eating donuts because he doesn't know how to person, or Lena being like, no, not this. This is the special thing that I went blind to make.
Yeah, I thought the character moments were great in this one. I mean, even some of the Nia Brainy stuff. I thought the character. I think that's maybe why I liked this episode so much, is that there was more of that, and there was some plot exposition kind of a thing, but the character stuff really took priority, I think, in this episode. And that's where I would like it every episode. But
I think listen, the plot stuff was, who knows? There were soul magnets. I gave up. But the character stuff, and I think this is something that maybe Supergirl could learn to focus more on. I don't care if there's somebody's soul magnets are repelling, which doesn't make any sense. If the character beats are good, if the characters make sense, if I understand where everybody's coming from, and it makes sense for their character, like, having Nia have these dreams that she doesn't understand and being really upset that there's nobody that she can talk to about how to interpret them. Like, that stuff is really good. That stuff is great. Like the end scene where they're all getting taken down one by one by the phantoms. And I was like, this is nonsense. But I'm right there with them going like, go, Alex, go. It's got to be Alex. Alex has got to be the last one standing. Definitely. And, but like that stuff, like, as cliche as it is, like it hits you in the heart when you see like, Brainy get pulled away, or
they all became phantoms.
Yeah, or Jean get like swarmed by a bunch of phantoms. Like you get concerned. So I think that they did a good job in that respect of like tying this insane plot that, if you think about it too long, it starts to hurt your brain, but tying it to the emotions, and then the emotions are what you can kind of hook into.
Yeah, that's always it for me. If I can understand and feel for the characters, I can go with any weird plot that you're doing. So that is the truth. I guess that's sort of. I guess the only thing I would probably mention outside of that is, I guess Silas is okay.
Silas is back.
Yeah,
I wanted him to turn around in that containment unit and be like, roomies. Hey guys, like, are those his roommates? And hey, it's my 3 roommates.
Yeah, I assume so. I assume they're in there. So I guess they're okay. So the Super Friends are off the hook for turning this poor guy into a phantom. So they solved that. I did struggle with the idea that, and I guess I'm still struggling with it a little bit. This episode tried to make it up for me, because there was a moment where Alex was like, "Oh, Supergirl would have had this taken care of," and I was like, "Oh, are they acknowledging like Supergirl not being there is a big deal, and like she's needed for this kind of thing?" And then by the end of the episode, it was like, "No, we got it taken care of. We don't need Supergirl." And I was like, you were almost there. You were almost kind of making it justified to me that like there's a reason why Supergirl needs to come back. It's not necessarily like, I get the emotional thing with the characters. Like the characters care about her and they want their friend and her, Alex's sister to come back. But also there needs to be a reason why Supergirl is important. Why Supergirl as a hero needs to come back. They have to fail without her. And so some of this episode sort of did that and some of it didn't. And so I was like, ugh, I don't know. I'm still kind of iffy about it.
I agree. I think that's the missing element is we know why Kara is important. We know who Kara is to Lena and to Alex and to Brainy and everybody. But like, why is Supergirl important? And I think they have kind of forgotten to do that, but I think that they really need to before they bring her back from the Phantom Zone, show why Supergirl is important, whether it's some big thing that happens to National City that they can't really help with because they're not Supergirl, or even like a smaller moment. They just need to kind of like drive home that like Supergirl is needed as a superhero, not just as Kara Danvers, a cool person that everybody likes.
Yeah, because Supergirl should be a key element to it, and it just seemed like they had it all figured out. Alex was kind of leading the team. Everybody was good. They made the right decisions. They got everything fixed. It was fine. So I would like to maybe see them more have like a world without Supergirl, not necessarily a world without Kara, which I think they've done a pretty good job about showing like why Kara is important to all of them. But the Supergirl component, I think, would be the icing on the cake for me. Because, Superman presumably still exists somewhere. I guess he could just, save the day and take her place. But, like, why is Supergirl?
Does he exist somewhere in the same plane of existence as Supergirl? I've seen no evidence of that.
That's true.
On Superman and Lois.
I am assuming a lot of things. I'm sorry.
I will say my last nitpick about the episode was when they're fighting. They're going to throw the thing in the whatever it was, the soul catcher or whatever, the dream catcher, and Alex is running towards it. And they start attacking Dreamer, and Nia goes, "Sentinel, go!" And I was like, dude, it's just you and a bunch of monsters. Why not just call her Alex? Like, nobody's called her Sentinel yet. And that was the first time when it's just the two of them alone with a bunch of Dementors. And I was like, do we need to use the nickname? Are we loving the nickname though?
Are we still at the point where we're workshopping this? Can we keep throwing out ideas? Are we really have we settled on this?
Yeah, we settled on Sentinel.
Feels like early stages. Like,
yeah,
maybe we can keep working on it.
Let's maybe push through. That.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of like in the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy when it's like Batman and someone who knows he's Batman, like, why is he still talking like that? Like, just talking about, like, they know you're Bruce. It's fine. Like, you don't have to talk.
Bruce be normal.
It's a character choice. Like, while he's in the Batman suit, you talk like Batman. I guess it's just because, got to reinforce that's her name now. And she is a superhero doing a superhero thing while she's in her superhero costume. So
can I say that a small part of my soul died every time it was just her intense eye makeup, but like no hood and no reason why she needed to have it on at all. She's just talking to them with the intense eye makeup. I was like, maybe take that. Can we take that off? Can we just take that off? I just want to see your face. And
it goes with the whole outfit. It's not, but that's a good point. Like,
I hate it so much.
It's still for me. Like, I'm fine with the blue. I can get past the blue eyeshadow. It's the blue streak in the hair that still bothers me. But that's a good question. Like, why doesn't her? Because it's the hand of the soldier, like gauntlet thingy that goes around her wrist. That
like she can turn that off.
Like, can she just do it partially? Like, just. Be normal, Alex.
I feel like this is definitely not true, and I'm sure the makeup is exactly the same, but I feel like just to spite me, it's getting like more intense every episode because I or maybe I was just staring at it so much, but I noticed it's like blue, but then there's also like black on the inside of the eye that goes all the way up to her eyebrow, and I was like,
yeah, it's a lot.
Why is it like this? Why does she have to look like a toucan? I don't understand.
It's a lot, especially with those emotional moments where it's like, a close-up of her face and she's really serious.
Poor Kyler Lee is having to try to emote through that, and I feel like that's unfair after 6 seasons to do to an actress.
But she still made that work, and that says a lot about her acting abilities. So kudos to Kyler. I don't think I could do it and pull it off as well.
I sure couldn't.
So good for Kyler. Okay, well, Morgan, since we're getting kind of long, let's wrap up our discussion. So final thoughts. What'd you think about this episode?
This is definitely my favorite one of the season. Again, a low bar. But I would say that this was just a solidly good episode. Like, I enjoyed this one. I would watch this one again. Which is not something I would say for any of the other season 6 episodes. And honestly, not a lot of season 5. So it's honestly, I feel like it's on a good trend. And I will say, to your point, I'm excited about next week's episode. I'm excited about them going to Midvale. I love those actresses that play young Alex and young Kara. They're so good. They're so scarily seem exactly like what they would be like. So, and I'm excited for them to go back in time. And I did see Nia was wearing a weird headband with a giant bow. Do they think they're going back to the 80s? What
no
year? Are they going back to? It's not 80. It's not 85. What are you wearing?
It's because wasn't Kara? I don't think it's the 90s. They wouldn't have gone back to high school. They wouldn't have been in high school in the 90s.
No, isn't Kara?
That's when I was in high school.
Yeah, how old is Kara's? I would think. I thought Kara was
it's got to be the
early 30s.
Yes,
late 20s.
What time period would that be? 2010?
Wasn't Alex in the first season 29 or something? Because I remember Nicole going through her insane timeline.
So a lot of people are saying 2009.
Okay. So I remember 2009, and I'm not sure I remember big. Oh, actually, maybe. I feel like headbands were actually making kind of a comeback in 2009. They might be right, actually. The big bow seemed too much. It seems like Madonna era, or maybe that's something.
Or maybe that's what the time travelers think. It's like when in Back to the Future Part 3, when Marty has the Clint Eastwood Western gear on, and he goes back into 1885, and he sticks out like a sore thumb. Maybe that's what they're thinking about. So that's good to know the time period there.
I definitely think it'll be funny if they show up in an 80s or 90s outfit, and everybody's like, "What's going on? Why are you dressed like that?
Why are you being weird?
You guys are being so weird."
Yeah, so that's going to be exciting. I'm in agreement with you. This is the first episode where I've been like, all right, okay, that's an episode. It was probably the most balanced episode of the season in regards to having good, solid story for Kara and then a good, solid story for everybody else. And it felt like it wasn't one storyline taking over the other. So I liked this episode a lot.
So silhouetted animator in the comments said, yeah, headbands were a thing in 2009. I was in high school. And I think that is correct because I remember because of the great show Gossip Girl, where they wore a lot of headbands. And I feel like they brought headbands back around 2008, 2009. So okay, I buy it. It looked very Madonna-esque to me, like in that brief clip that we saw. And that's what made me go, how old are they?
Yeah, I guess I missed the resurgence of the headband.
I didn't. I have a lot of I had to throw out. I was going through stuff and I was found a whole pile of headbands and I was like, huh. Oh yeah, that's right. That was my Blair Waldorf phase.
Well, if there are headbands, it would be kind of cool to see Kara wearing one because Supergirl, wore a headband as part of her Kryptonian heritage, and it almost made it into Supergirl the movie, and they pulled it at the last minute. So that would be kind of a fun nod. They've already had something like that in the Supergirl pilot, the TV series pilot.
I remember, yeah.
So that was a nod to the headband. But I'm just saying, if they're gonna Have headbands?
Let's
That
do
seems
it.
like
Let's
easy.
go all the way into the headband trend. Let's get her in a headband.
You might as well. So I'm looking forward to next week. So hopefully we're in for a good treat with all the prom stuff.
I'll dig out one of my old headbands.
Yes,
for the stream.
That sounds good.
Ready.
I don't think I will be able to because I'll be in Hawaii.
Well, you'll be in paradise, so
maybe I'll find a Hawaiian headband somewhere and I'll pick one of those up.
Awesome.
Okay, well, I think that's going to do it for our discussion, but let's find out what our listeners had to say about Lost Souls.
At SL Fricky said, after that scene of Scotch-based bonding, I'm going to make a bold statement. Supercore is dead. Bury it. The age of Alina what would that be? Lennox has begun. So I see some people have abandoned some ships and
picked up a new one. Yeah.
Created new ones. Kelly is going to be so mad that she got Lena therapy if that happens. She's like, I should have just left her with her robot. At Patty Mello 20 said, an episode without Lex? We've been blessed.
Oh, speaking of which, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt this tweet. No Lex, no Andrea, and still no William.
No,
this is many episodes now where those characters, especially Andrea and William, have been missing.
The last time we saw William, he was real mad at a TV, and I like to imagine that he's still there in front of that TV, watching it, being mad about everything he sees on it.
So I just want to put it in the record for this, so that if by the end of the season they come back and they say, "Oh, Cara and William are supposed to be made for each other, and this is a big deal," I'm like, you didn't do the legwork here. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
So I just want to document it for myself that this has not happened. So
they left him in the front of the TV for episodes at a time.
Yeah, so it's very strange. Anyway, so please continue with the tweet.
So Patty Mello 20 says, is Nia all powerful now? Is that what happened to her? I loved all the scenes between Alex and Lena. They're the ones who love Cara the most, and it was nice to see them bonding. And yes, I ship them, but you can't blame me. Look at them. Oh, there is some support for this new ship just because they both like the same kind of scotch. At K Kyle 1 said, so let me make sure I understand. Apparently in the world of Supergirl, where other heroes exist and are referred to, the only way to stop the big bad is inserting thing A into thing B. Didn't they do the same thing to Pencil Skirt?
They definitely did.
Sure
it was stick a device into a thing, and that's how you defeat them.
You know what? They saw how well it went with Pencil Skirt. They were like, let's just keep this going.
It's been working for us. Let's just do that.
Listen, we found our niche. Why reinvent the wheel?
Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. At Olin Samuel said, I didn't hate it, even though the show keeps giving the best character moments to everyone whose name is not Cara. At least this time, Alex was one of them. I suppose they really didn't have Melissa for a lot, and that's why the Phantom Zone plot still feels like the B plot, and it sucks because it's the one I'd like to see more of. It's also, after 4 weeks, the first time there's been a semblance of bonding between Cara and Zor-El. Let's see, I guess.
Yeah, it finally happened a little bit. We got enough, so I appreciate the optimism. Hopefully it will get better.
Yeah. I liked the Cara and Zor-El moments that we got in this one. At DJ Writer says, perhaps the most cohesive episode of the season and a true showcase for Kyler Lee and the tremendous growth of the character of Alex Danvers. I love the parallel how the sisters had to both make a near impossible decision. At Ferreira 365 said, yes, it's about the time they take out. It's about time they take out of the Phantom Zone if they aren't really going to do much with her in it. I hope this last season gets better. At one creative underscore name, which is a great and very creative name, said, well, that episode was something. All the plots seemed boring and repetitive, but at least next week's episode looks good. I hope Cara is getting out of the Phantom Zone soon because I'm getting real tired of it. Also, can't they just get Cara's DNA from loose hairs in her apartment?
Yeah, a lot of listeners had questions about the DNA.
Good question. At Walt 658 said, if they need Kara's DNA, why can't they get it from, I don't know, something in her apartment?
The problem with this is they didn't explain why they couldn't. They should have had a line in there, to Nicole's point, like she can't shed the whatever. Like they should have mentioned that in the episode.
Yeah, I think that's if they can explain soul magnets, right? They have the time and the inclination to explain this one. That's all I can say.
Soul magnets.
Dr. Sophie Lady Sai said questions in season 5 about how Kara cut her bangs seemed frivolous and tangential until we arrived in season 6, and those hair clippings could simultaneously save Kara from the Phantom Zone and prevent a potential timeline disruption.
Such a good point.
That's true. At Jenny_McFarland said, Magon flying through the city was cool. It's almost like they have someone else who can fly they could have done that with. The person who the show is named after, maybe. Also, when Jean said global pandemic, I cringed. Why'd they have to use that phrase? Oh, I don't know. They have to be topical or they will die. At I Am No Guitar Hero said, best part of the episode, Kara's defiance versus Nixley when she realizes her intentions, even destroying the mirror rather than letting her use it. Worst, all the over explanation on how they plan to defeat the Phantoms. It's so confusing. They should keep it simple. I agree. It's all made up anyway. Just streamline it. Take out the soul magnets.
Soul magnets.
At Mark HBPWM said, I knew I was right to mistrust Nixley. I could tell Kara was going to smash the mirror and thought it was great to see Kara be Kara for the first time this season. But yeah, how did they move a DEO's worth of stuff into Jean's PI office / apartment?
It's a big apartment. They have a lot of room.
It's a big apartment. They have a lot of room. Also, the DEO was mostly destroyed, so I guess there wasn't much to move over besides rubble. And finally, at KT Walker said, did they really have Jean look in the camera and say, a worldwide pandemic?
They
sure did.
Yeah. Okay, so we have an email from Alex who writes, quote, I thought this was the best episode of the season so far, but after the episode a few weeks ago with the Lex Luthor trial that set the American legal system back 100 years, and last week's Dr. Phil's style weep fest where everyone talked about their feelings, that's not saying much. The best thing about this week's episode, it is wrapped up in the Harry Potter Dementor storyline, and hopefully the show will once again concentrate, and I scrolled down too far.
Of course, I do that all the time.
Oh my gosh. But once again, concentrate on making Supergirl the central part of the show. I'm sorry if I'm being a downer, but I think this season has been pretty depressing. Look, Alex, I feel that. I'm there with you. Alex goes on to say, quote, there just hasn't been the fun camaraderie between the team that existed in past seasons. Seriously, have there been any fun scenes or conversations that made you laugh this year? We used to have them all the time in the first few seasons, but those moments were mostly provided by Wynn or Cat Grant. Another problem has been the complete lack of Kara Danvers this year. The human life of Supergirl has always been a vital part of the series. I am hoping the next few episodes with Brainy and Dreamer going back in time to meet Kara and Alex in high school will provide the necessary humor and human qualities of the show. I know the current writers like to pretend the first year or two of Supergirl never happened, but we need to get back to that, unquote. Yeah, I think next week's episode, especially if during this Midvale thing, I think there's supposed to be Cat Grant in the mix, so that'll probably serve as some comedic relief as well. So I think some of those elements will come in future episodes.
Yeah, I'm excited about the Midvale episodes. I think they're going to be really fun. Gina sent us an email saying, finally, we get an episode with some legit emotional beats here. While far from a perfect episode, this was definitely for me one of the best episodes of the season, which isn't a very high bar right now. Why did this hit me differently? A few things. One, the writers seem to be learning about not including characters that aren't important to the storyline. No Andrea, no William, no Lex, and unfortunately no Kelly.
Oh, that's right. Kelly wasn't in this episode.
Poor Kelly. She was busy breaking into their apartments for later. 2, we finally saw Lena reacting to Kara being in the Phantom Zone. It was so weird to not have her react for the last 2 episodes. We got a hint of it in the previous episode where she finally admits to Brainy she misses Kara. Not that I had any doubt, but what was shown in this episode was what I was looking for. It was nice in a heartbreaking way to see that Lena blames herself for Kara being in the Phantom Zone. And who knew it would also lead to great interaction between Alex and Lena. This also brought in more layers of perspective from Alex as well. I love the two of them not seeing eye to eye on what was the right thing to do between saving Kara and dealing with the Phantoms, aka the global pandemic. Alex sacrificed seeing her sister sooner to save the city, while Lena truly thought saving Kara was doing the right thing and worked day and night to make it so. 3, this episode actually surprised me in that I truly thought they were going to be reunited with Kara by the end of the episode, but only because this show tends to wrap up things quicker than it should. So I was happy to see that both ends of the storyline got thwarted.
No, me too.
Yeah, me too. I was like, really? This is going to be the end of the Phantom Zone? No. 4, though still not enough screen time, we got to see more screen time with Kara and friends. Also, it was enough to show Kara having more emotional beats concerning her father, and most importantly, sacrificing her way home so that Nixley doesn't get out of the Phantom Zone. We got to see more fight in Kara. Up until now, I felt like we saw shadows of emotions from her, but this episode felt more like the Kara we know and love. Is it me, or do the Jor-Els have weak legs, ankles that easily break?
Zor-Els.
Zor-Els. That's a good point, because she got her leg got hurt in like one of the first or second episodes.
That's true. Yeah.
Although apparently nothing ever heals in the Phantom Zone.
Well, time doesn't pass. so that's
Did Nixley heal her? Is that what happened?
Nixley used her magic to heal.
That's right.
Kara, but she couldn't do it this time around with Zor-El.
Because she hates dads. And then finally 5, I really loved how they had those breadcrumbs, in fact, leading up to next week's episode via Nia's dreams.
Yeah, they're starting to pay that off. They've been throwing that in a little bit at a time, and I finally sort of clicked as to why Nia has been seeing those visions. All right. Well, Susan wrote in to say, quote, I really enjoyed parts of this week's episode, so I thought I would take the opportunity to share why, since it also answers a question that has been lingering for me. The question is why I do not like the Alex-Kelly relationship. And the answer turned out to be that I just don't like Alex when she is with Kelly. But this week, when there was no Kelly and the kick-ass human hero Alex was back, we got the agent soldier who can save herself with her pants. You remember that episode?
One of the all-time favorites.
Because Alex can save herself just using her pants. The hero who will make any necessary sacrifice to do the right thing. The passionate person who can talk others into believing in themselves. The human who is Kara's hero for a reason. And we haven't seen that Alex for a long time. Instead, when Alex is with Kelly, we have seen her acting like an idiot and a bad soldier slash agent because she is supposedly worried about Kelly, or we see her turning into a wimp that Kelly needs to help because Kelly needs something to do. I have nothing against the character of Kelly in general, and I think Ozzy does a nice job. But the Alex Danvers that I came to be a fan of seems to disappear whenever Kelly is there. Since it doesn't seem like Kelly is going anywhere, and in fact seems like she is going to play a bigger role, I really hope the writers figure out how to include her without transforming Alex again, unquote. That's actually a really good point about how, storylines and characters can change based on who they are with in a scene and what that makes for their decisions and how their storylines play out. So I didn't even think about that when I was watching it, but yeah, I mean, there was no Kelly, and so she didn't have to either be protective of Kelly or she, something, whatever it was, she could focus on doing that job and the thing that she needed to do and actually focus on Kara at, her sister, which was refreshing. That was the first time in a long time I felt like Alex, not to say Alex doesn't care about Kara, but like this is the first time where it was like, oh, this feels like old school Supergirl, where Alex was protecting Kara and trying to help Kara. But the last couple of seasons, it's been more focused on Alex and Kelly. So this was a different change of pace in this episode.
I think we were seeing like more of an action-oriented Alex too, which we haven't, seen in a while. So I think that definitely helped the characterization this episode.
Yeah, when Alex called Kara sis, I was like, oh, I remember they were sisters. They're
sisters.
actually acting like sisters. Because it just has been such a long time since the focus was on the Danvers sisters. So that was actually really refreshing.
So Daryl wrote us an email saying, Alex, how can you say you trust Lena and then just rip the device from her hands like that? You were trying to convince her with your words, but then you didn't bother to see if it worked before you just took what you needed. Alex says she can't take no for an answer, but she didn't wait for an answer at all. It's so good. It's really true. That really bothered me more than anything else has in this season. Maybe in this show, Alex's whole speech to Lena means nothing if she's just going to take the device like that.
That's a fair point.
It's a very fair point. Why make the speech if you don't wait to see if it worked?
Right. Well, Cloud wrote in to say, quote, just listen to your podcast about Phantom Menaces, and you briefly spoke about Lena's hairstyles changing to fit her mood. The best case of the hairstyles is not Lena, but her mom, Lillian. I noticed immediately that when she was on trial or otherwise in a weak position, her hair was down. It popped at me at the end of this past episode when Lex gained control again, that there was Lillian's hair was back up like back in Project Cadmus days a long time ago. And Cloud goes on to say, she's full on back to evil again, and I am here for it, unquote. So yeah, I hadn't noticed that with Lillian, so I'm gonna have to pay attention to Lillian's hairstyles and what that means when it's up versus when it's down.
Yes, seriously. So Lynn wrote in to ask the all-important question, what if one of Silas's roommates was Brian the alien?
This is a big question.
This could be a game changer. Is the thing. That's where he's been.
I hope that's true. Okay, so Ryan sent us an email saying, quote, a lot of the Arrowverse show's reasoning and science is lost on me, but I just ignore it. However, this one with how it explained dream energy and life forces really lost me more than ever before. The episode title was Lost Souls, but it should have been titled Lost Viewers. At this point, I'm annoyed with the lazy writing this show has. I can ignore the Phantom Zone stuff because, again, Melissa was on maternity leave and they only had her for so long. But they had the rest of the actors for 3 months before Melissa came in. Over a year of doing nothing at home during quarantine that they could have been brainstorming or working on scripts. There is no reason this writing should be so bad. The only good moments were the quiet, intimate moments between two characters. Should they have forgiven Lena, and is her forgiving herself all that matters? No. And should Alex have given Lena a chance before tracking the device, before taking the tracking device away? Sure. But that doesn't take away from the emotional weight the characters feel. It just goes to show that the writers need to focus on their characters more than their plot, because their characters are succeeding while their plot is not, unquote. So that's a really good point, Ryan. I think there's something to be said about focusing on the characters versus the sciencey nonsense and the phantom stuff. I think that is succeeding more than some of the plot-driven aspects of the show.
I think we're willing to go with the plot nonsense if the character beats are good. I think that's been established.
Because that was the kind of the opposite of season 5. There was the emphasis was way heavy on the plot.
Oh my god.
And the characters really suffered. So I'm glad to see it. There's not as much of that with season 6, but to Ryan's point, like they had a whole heck of a lot of time to plot out this last final season, and it doesn't feel like they really nailed it down.
But Rebecca, in this episode, they saved us all from a global pandemic.
That whole time in 2020, they were like, we got to work that into the script. We got to work that into Supergirl. And they did.
They did. They sure did. Kenny wrote us an email to say, this might just be the best episode of the season. Some great Alex Danvers stuff. We saw her be that badass Alex from season 1 and 2. Car is not going to give up, and she will find a way to come back home somehow. Lena is now a part of the Super Friends. This season has the Smallville season 6 feel to go to it with the Phantom Zone stuff. All the actors and actresses were great, especially Melissa Benoist and Kyler Lee.
Oh, Smallville season 6. Ooh, that was rough.
What a time for us all. What a time.
Although that, I think season 6 was when Lena, was that when she became a Luthor and she like went a little evil?
Yes, that was
actually.
I think that was the season where Lana just like lost it and they went to the dark side, and that was, I think, the most fun Kristen Kirk ever had playing that character. She was like, I can choose some scenery.
I think she hit. I remember her hitting Lionel Luthor with a shovel, and I was like,
she definitely did.
This is great TV.
I remember being
really
like, this is the most I've ever liked Lana lying.
All right. Well, we have an email from one of our Russian listeners who is actually named Lena. So Lena sent us an email to say, quote, we have an Alex and we have a Lena. I'm starting to suspect we might have some super friends who listen to Super Radio.
We can start our own super friends. Quick, do you have a tower for us?
If a car writes in, I'm going to be really suspicious.
That's it. We've got it.
So Lena from Russia writes, quote, how could something named Supergirl be almost about anything but Supergirl? How could the main character serve as supportive characters in order to develop their story progress and not vice versa? I started watching a show because of 2 reasons: lead character and or plot. If I fall in love with a character, plot is unnecessary. So this is very similar to Ryan's email, actually. Since the plot in Supergirl has always been questionable, at least in my opinion, and the show turned out to be an excellent match for my standards. Yes, Kara is the main character and the only reason I watch the show, but the CW somehow managed to ruin a lot of that. It seems sometimes that the showrunners are on a permanent vacation and a bunch of remaining trainee writers are so indifferent that they don't give a damn about what they wrote even in the last episode script. It is true. Sometimes it switches and it's like, why did you do that? So Lena goes on to say, quote, a terrible script leads to terrible acting. Actually, there is nothing to act. The plot is illogical and the hero's motivations and emotions are lifeless. Though Melissa and the core cast really try to make this nonsense better. I will say, they make some bad stuff turn into gold. So Lena goes on to say, at the same time, I thought I could be perfectly fine with all of this storytelling disaster if there was enough Kara. It's just a TV show after all, but instead of that, I have to deal with an unnecessary but intrusive Luthor drama, endless Guardian stuff, a bunch of bad villains, and a stunning variety of ugly wigs. At this point, I'm feeling really offended as a viewer because the credits tell me that the show is called Supergirl, not Super Friends, not Everybody Gets a Pulitzer. It's simply called Supergirl. But hope never dies, and I'm really hopeful that at least the final episode will be Kara-centric, unquote. So I'm right there with you, Lena. I've been frustrated with the focus not being on Kara for a while, and so it does get to be a little bit of a downer. But I think maybe this episode might start to pick that up a little bit. So hopefully there's going to be more Kara, because we don't have that many episodes left.
No, we really don't.
What, 15, I guess?
I think so.
So it's I mean, we're starting to lose those episodes. So they need to really ramp up the Kara aspect of Supergirl. So that's really important. So thank you, Lena from Russia, for writing in. All right.
So Rebecca, before we get to our snap judgments, do we want to talk about what Lena was wearing in this episode? Because
I didn't get a screenshot, but if you would like to talk about it, I will get us an intro and then we'll get into it.
And now, Lena Luthor, boardroom or ballroom?
Okay, so what are your thoughts? I just remember her wearing like a leather jacket, maybe?
It was like a jacket that had kind of like, I don't know, like overlapping aspects to it. It was kind of open, but then there were also these kind of panels that seemed like they were going over each other, over like a dress. And then I think there was some sort of like weird boot aspect of it. I saw. There were a lot of elements on that outfit, but I'm not sure that any of those elements went together in one. It's like she got.
What do you think that's trying to say about her character in the episode?
So what I think it's saying is that like she got really in her head when she was like, okay, it's first day, Super Friends, school, and I have to look my best. Now I love this dress. And I love this jacket. And I love these boots. And some would tell me, Lena, no, those things don't all go together. But I say, nay, these all should go together today. She's also probably really tired too. She like spent all night working on the Ghostbuster pack, and it's also possible that she just found the first things in her closet and she was like, good enough. But I like to imagine her trying on like several different outfits and like a little montage going, no, this is too needy. No, I shouldn't have this much clavicle out. And then like finally settling on like this weird jacket overdress combo where she was like, my clavicles are all the way in, so I'm not going to scare anybody. Like she didn't want to bring out her full power.
Too powerful, yeah.
Too powerful on the first day. That's a tough move. You don't want to scare people right out of the gate. She was like, this is me. I'm soft and approachable. And it's like, are you, Lena? Like, what's going on there? What's going on with that outfit?
Yeah, some listeners are kind of agreeing with you. Grace says, none of this outfit worked for me, to be honest. And Emma says, I love Lena and she can do whatever she wants, but that outfit was interesting. So lots of questionable thoughts about her outfit.
Laura has a good explanation, which is that maybe the tower is kind of chilly, and like maybe she's like, just in case, I don't know what kind of like environmental factors are going to happen today. So she's like, I'll just bring like a little jacket just in case it's cold. And then she got in, she was like, is there no heat in here? And John was like, oh yeah, I forgot to pay that bill.
Well, remember the Dementors.
Make everything really cold. So there you go. That's why she needed the jacket, because of the Dementors. So you know what? I take all of Lena's responsibility for this outfit I don't like away from her. It's the Dementors' fault, and that was actually a very logical choice for where she was.
And this has been
Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom.
It was the Dementors.
It was the Dementors' fault.
That should be the catchphrase for this season. All right. Well, I think
before we wrap up our feedback, we're going to get to some Snatch judgments.
In the game of Snap Judgments, each person is presented with 2 options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended and explanations are unnecessary. Okay, we're going to bring Nicole back in, Dr. Nicole Green. I want to make sure I say the complete title to give you respect on your name. So thank you for joining us again for Snap Judgments. So Morgan, will you take it away?
Okay, so our first set of Snap Judgments are from Gina. She wants to know, better twist, Nixley stabbing Kara in the back, metaphorically, or Zor-El being the one who ended up being shady.
Oh, Nicole, what's your choice here?
Oh man, I know, I guess a little from the behind the scenes that Mixie's coming back, so I want to see Nixley and Mixie chewing some scenery. So I need that like backstab. I don't want Kara to be. I don't know. I feel like Kara would be more hurt by her dad stabbing her, like, turning shady. So I'm gonna pick Nixley. I don't know what's gonna happen to Papa L, but all for the like 5th dimensional face off at the end of the season.
Nice.
I could be into that. I think that I like the Nixley being the villain, but if we're going better twist, to me the better twist is Zor-El turning out to be the bad guy. So that's probably what I would think. Even though I don't want that to happen, but I think it's the better twist.
Yeah, so I'm conflicted because that Nixley twist was really good, and like when she like got really scary, I liked it. But if Zor-El gets to be evil, does that mean that Jason Behr gets to wear like the evil Max from Roswell makeup? Because I could be feeling that like he had like a weird like punk hairstyle and like a little bit of eyeliner when he was a dupe. Yes, so I gotta go Zor-El because I want that dupe makeup back. I want to convince people to watch Roswell. I swear, you guys, it's amazing. Okay, Gina wants to know, which looked more appealing to try for yourself? The donuts Brainy was eating or the proton pack Lena built overnight?
Nicole, are you going donuts or proton pack?
I mean, donuts, because with the proton pack, you have to fight phantoms. That sounds like way more work.
So let me come back over the Snap Judgment. So what is more appealing to try?
Yeah.
Oh, so like I have no risk, but only reward.
It seems that way.
Yeah, let's go with that interpretation.
The donuts are 0 calories.
I don't know. I feel like I've had a lot of good donuts in my life, but I've never got to like zap phantoms with no risk to my physical well-being. So yeah, I'm going to change to the proto pack.
Donuts are really tasty, but they are also on every list that says this thing is going to give you cancer. So I try not to eat donuts as much as possible. So I probably would not be eating a lot of donuts. But also, I mean, a proton pack, I don't know if that can give you cancer or not. But
TBD.
As a scientist, everything gives you cancer. Like living gives you cancer, oxygen does. Like live your life.
Yeah, everything in moderation, right? I don't know. It'd be fun to be a Ghostbuster, so I think I would go proton pack.
Yeah, I'm gonna go say I ain't afraid of no ghosts and go proton pack as well. Okay, which would you like a solid explanation for? What Dreamer's powers are exactly, or why they couldn't just get Kara's hairbrush for a DNA sample?
Okay, so Nicole, do you want the explanation for Dreamer's powers or the DNA sample?
I want to know what is the reason for the time travel. I obviously want to know. I need, like, I'm a cell biologist. Tell me about why I can't just collect DNA from her apartment. I need that. I'm never going to get it, but I would like that more.
Yeah, I think Dreamer's powers are so nebulous. They can be whatever. And it's like, okay, fine. It's dream energy. But yeah, I need the explanation because they went straight from we need DNA to time travel and they never explained it, why that needed to happen. So I would go the DNA sample.
Yeah, I think I'm dreaming about an explanation for that DNA sample. I just want to know. Okay, so our next set of snap judgments are from Ryan. The first one is, would you rather see them go back in time to John's, Nia's, or Lena's past?
So we have 3 options in the snap judgment. Yeah. Whose past are we going back into, Nicole?
You said John,
Nia, or Lena.
I feel like we've got some good Luther flashbacks, and it's going to be sad. I don't need more of that. Jean's past is also going to be sad. I mean, I love Nia. I feel like it would be fun, and like her family seemed really great. Like we'd just be hanging out. They'd be making food for me. We'd be like with plants. I love plants. Drawing dreamscapes. That sounds like a good time.
I think I'm going to pick Jean actually because he's been on Earth for like 300 something years. Like what was he doing all that time? Was he out on pirate ships? What was he doing? Like I don't know why I keep wanting to imagine him as a pirate because I think we talked about him having doubloons. But I want to see like Pirate Jean. Like what was he doing out on the high seas? So that's I mean there's so much time that could be covered in the last 300 years. So that's what I would pick.
So I was leaning towards Nia's as well, but you've convinced me that I want Jean's because the idea of Jean singing a sea shanty is I find that very calming when I think about it. So yeah, I want Jean's life on the sea, which we've accepted as our canon.
This is the thing that happened. We all knew it. That's what happened.
Some people in the chat were pointing out that we could finally get the horse riding scene between Lena and Lex.
Oh, that's true.
We get to choose like our particular moment in time because that is an attractive option.
That's tough because I really do want that.
Oh, that's true. We could go back and see what was in Lex's journal. Oh,
that's tough. That might change things.
That's really rivaling Pirate Jean at the moment. Well, that's a tough one.
Okay, so our next one from Ryan. Would you rather see Lena in a relationship with Kara or Alex? So no more Alex and Kelly.
This is controversial. I don't know. Is this too much of a hot take? I don't know. This is spicy. Nicole, what are your thoughts?
I have to go first. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to make
throwing you right to the wolves.
I am a big fan of the Supercorp dynamic. I will go for that. But I do love it's. I don't know. I love Alex and Kelly. I don't want to break up Danson. They're so supportive and good. So I want platonic Agent Corp on the balcony drinking their scotch, and Lena and Kara, you live your life.
That sounds good.
I really don't like shipper stuff, and I'm trying to.
They're going to make you. They're going to make you do
it.
it.
So hard to stay out of it. I guess I would have to pick Kara because, to your point, Nicole, like the Alex Kelly thing is kind of cemented in my mind now, and I don't know that I could. That would have been weird. Just because, like, I don't know. There's I like their we'll see. I like both of their dynamics as like friends. So that's weird. So I guess I would pick Kara just because the Alex Kelly thing I think probably should still stand. So I don't think I would want to get rid of Alex and Kelly. So I'll pick Kara here.
I think that's fair. I think just because Katie McGraw has chemistry with everyone doesn't mean that we have to ship her necessarily with everybody.
Or you could, I guess.
You could ship her with every single person. That's your choice watching Supergirl. Lena with whoever. With that said, I don't feel like we need to break up Alex and Kelly. They feel like they've got their thing. They're figuring it out. So yeah, definitely Kara and Lena. They have really good chemistry. So. And build up certainly more than Kara and William.
That's true. They do have a storyline you could point to if you wanted to go there. Yeah.
Like an actual storyline as opposed to her love interest.
Oh, geez. I could have been about William, but they never did anything to make it happen.
But they were never about William, so how are you going to do it?
I was open to it, but you didn't do the work.
You're like, I'm trying to help you help me. Okay, so our next 2 snap judgments are from Anna. So right, Anna wants to know. Get ready, because the first one is relatively short, but the second one is not relatively short. Okay, so strap in. All right, Anna wants to know, what was funnier? Alex walking up to an excited Lena and going, actually, no, we're not saving Kara. Give it to me. Or Nixley giving her villain speech too early and telling Kara, actually, it was me who beat up your dad.
Nicole, what's your choice?
So Anna said, what is funnier?
What is funnier?
But she didn't mean funnier. She meant what hurt more.
No.
Classic Anna.
Alex making Lena cry in that large, empty, vacant space, or Nixley being like, I betrayed you and hurt your father. I don't know. I don't feel like Alex had any intention of hurting Lena specifically. I don't even know how to answer this question. Truly, like
you have to pick one. It's the game. You have to pick one.
I mean, I don't think it's funnier. I don't know. I'll say like funnier as in it didn't hurt me as much. I'll say Nixley like turning because I always thought that was happening. I don't think that's what Anna's asking, but that's how I answer it.
Yeah. Oh no, I thought it was hilarious when Nixley was like, I could have murdered your father if I had the chance. She's actually kind of a juicy, fun villain that I enjoy. Like, I really like my villains. Like,
I was
nasty.
Like, now we're cooking.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm loving this. So I'll probably pick Nixley on this one.
I'm going to pick Nixley too, only because she had direct access to a portal right next to her, but she chose violence, right? She chose to give her villain speech. She was like, hold on. Here comes my monologue, and she could have just left. Like she could have been like, as Kara's leaving to go, okay, I gotta go get my dad. She could have been like, cool, bye, and then jumped out of the portal. But what she chose to do is be like, actually, all dads are evil, and here's what. So I feel like she kind of shot herself in the foot there, and that was funny. Okay, last snap judgment. This is from Anna. It's very long. Get ready.
Okay.
If the Supergirl writers were in charge of your love life for a month.
That's a long time. That's a big commitment.
That's a bad amount of time. Which would you rather have? Your love interest parents try to take over the world, and the only way to stop them is to send the love interest to space. And then they show up months later married to another woman. Or
Mono.
All right. All right, so Monel. Or your love interest seems perfect, but later convinces you to kidnap and hold their sister at gunpoint. And that same sister later mind controls you and makes a robot because she is mad at her maybe just platonic best friend named Kara.
Those are equally bad choices that have
bad.
both been represented on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that we're breaking this down. Anna's saying Monel or Lena. Is that what we're doing?
I
think so. When you boil it down to the
the second
one. Okay, so your love interest seems perfect, but later convinces you to kidnap and hold their sister at gunpoint. And that same sister later mind controls you and makes you a robot because she is mad at her maybe just platonic best friend named Kara. Wait, are we talking about Eve?
What? Or Lex or
Eve?
Maybe it is Eve. I think it's Eve.
Oh my God, this is so intense. I can't even follow these. The Supergirl writers are taking over my life and doing things.
Yes, this is going to be this is your love life for a month.
Yeah, everyone's saying the second one is Eve.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Or Lex, maybe? No, it's got to be Eve because you get turned into a robot.
Yeah.
I have a PhD and I cannot follow that.
This is a complicated one.
This
Anna.
one's a complicated one. Yeah.
I think I'm going to choose the absolute chaos of the second one. Like, I don't know. It sounds wild, and I guess it's for a month. We'll repair things afterwards.
Yeah. So with the Monel one, where your love interest comes back and is married to another person, is that only for a month, or are they married to the person for a month?
Is it that those brief 1 month marriages that we've all heard about?
I don't know. I know I'm kind of in the minority, but I really liked the Kara Monel stuff in season 2. Season 3 was a different story.
Season 3, not great.
Season 3, the Mon scale imploded. But season 2, at the very end, I thought that was the only time the show has actually made me cry while I watched it, when Kara had to say goodbye to Monel. So that to me, like, that's a well-written story. So if I'm having to go with the writers writing my love life, I'm going with that one.
That's fair. I'm going to go with number 2 because I love the chaotic nature of it. I like that I don't quite know what it is, but I also I think in that scenario I get to briefly become a robot, and that seems like it could be fun. So I've already got the voice.
You're already there. You're like,
I'm already kind of halfway there. I'm ready. I'm prepared for it. So I think I'm going to go number 2.
Well, thank you, Anna, and to everybody who sent us in snap judgments, and thank you, Nicole, for being with us to make some snap judgments. And we will get out of here. We'll say goodbye to Nicole. Thank you. Have a good rest of your week. We will talk to you later. We're going to kick you out now, and we're going to wrap up snap judgments, and we're going to get out of here. No judgments on your snap judgments. All right, that is going to do it for this episode on Lost Souls. And I have really done a number on this Google Doc. I really need to tighten this up. This is you talk about chaotic nature. This Google Doc has a chaotic nature this week. Yeah, I'm gonna need to clean this puppy up because Rebecca went through this really quickly. All right, so speaking of which, and actually let me check to see. Okay, so we got to go with new Rachel this week. So we are gonna get to some plugs, and so just sit back and enjoy those. If you would like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW's Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and Wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you're in need of new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Supergirl Radio is part of the DC TV Podcast Network, so if you also like The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning, Titans, Doom Patrol, Batwoman, Stargirl, Superman and Lois, and the upcoming Green Lantern, Justice League Dark, and Strange Adventure shows, and DC TV After Dark, you can subscribe to the DC TV Podcast Mega Feed on Apple Podcasts. Follow at DC TV Podcast on Twitter, and like DC TV Podcasts on Facebook, or else. This has been a message from Hope, inhabiting the Flash Vessel, also known as New Rachel.
That never gets old. That's
It's
so
good.
so funny. The Flesh Vessel.
Did we talk about the TeePublic store?
No, let's talk about the TeePublic store.
Let's just smoothly transition into that. Because guess what? It's got some fifth dimensional energy with this Mizziazpidlic design.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Well done.
I see you giving me the full name and I'm delivering.
Yeah, so this is actually a pretty cool shirt. I need to get one of these for myself because Mixie's looking pretty chill on this one with the full name there. So you can get some Mizziazpidlic stuff in there if you would like. And we would also like to thank our Legion of Super sponsors for supporting the Supergirl Radio Patreon. And that goes to Michael, Sam, Anne-Marie, Grout, Yvonne, Quinn, Jessica, Nicola, Leslie, Abby, Irmgard, Miriam, Cherie, Donna, Nicole, Lizeth, Deb, Susan, and a new one, EH. So thank you all for supporting Supergirl Radio on Patreon. If you would like to become a Supergirl Radio Patreon supporter, you can go to patreon.com/Supergirl Radio. It is a monthly fee. We have several different levels. So just go take a gander at the Patreon page and see which one you would like to be part of. They offer different things. And our Patreon is just kind of just bonus extra stuff. We have our regular free Supergirl Radio stuff here once a week. But if you want just some extra stuff, if you want to see Morgan's cats, if you want to hear us talk about all sorts of, various things, that we've done some AMAs. We've
done some show and tell.
We've done some show and tell. We'll probably be doing a whole bunch of stuff. I think for this next exclusive bonus stuff, I think I'm going to do some stuff from Hawaii.
I mean, you're going to be in a pretty nice location.
So I'm going to do some photo shoots with my Supergirl. I'm going to take her to Hawaii with me and maybe put her on the beach. We'll just see what happens with her. And if you would also like to have a photo shoot with a flat Supergirl here, we have a contest. So basically how this works is that you can go to supergirlradio.com and on the right side of the page, there are actually some links there where you can find it. There'll be a little picture of little flat Supergirl on the side. You just click on it and you can go straight to the post where you can download and print your flat Supergirl, and you just cut her out. You will cut around her. Don't cut her. Cut her out. And then you're gonna attach her to a popsicle or a some sort of popsicle stick or a pencil or a pen, something like that. And then just go outside, take a picture with her, do something.
Take her on the road.
Do something creative. Actually,
let her see the world.
Hang on. While we're here, we have had some submissions.
Have we?
Yeah. So I'm going to pull some up while we're here. Let me see if I can share my screen and let's see if we can get to
I have not been checking the hashtag.
Let's see. Am I pulling up the right one? We shall see.
I'm not good at it. But the hashtag is hashtag Supergirl Adventures. So if you want to, oh my God.
So this is Supergirl traveling in the car. I also have one from Donna. Let's see if I can pull
she
that
doesn't
up.
need to be in the car. She can fly.
She's just driving. It's fine. Let's see. Let's try to share this other one.
Road trip.
Apparently, this is not the best way to do this. So next time around, I won't share the screen. But yeah, so Donna actually went the extra step and commissioned an Alex.
They're
to go
in the
along.
grass.
They are taking the grass for Earth Day. It's actually today's Earth Day.
Today's Earth Day.
So
and they're taking that grass by storm. Alex looks great in her little costume. Flat Alex.
So so Donna went the extra step and got a commission of Flat Alex to go along with Supergirl. But you don't have to do that for the contest. You can just hang out with Supergirl and just take a creative picture, and then you're going to use the hashtag and tag us in a photo, and that'll get you in the contest. And you can take as many pictures as you want. You have until the final episode of Supergirl, the TV show, the series finale, is when we will make a decision on our favorite, and then we will pick a winner, and you'll get something from the TeePublic store.
So what's great is you have almost an indeterminate amount of time.
This is really no rush.
Who knows how many seasons you can take Supergirl around with you?
She could go to the pool in the summer. She could,
come on a sleigh ride with you in the winter.
So who knows at this point? But yeah, so this is just our way of like having fun for the final season. Taking Supergirl with us wherever we go. It's a metaphor. So this is something we're doing for the final season, just to have a little fun and see what everybody does. It gives us a way to be creative. All right. Well, you can follow me on Instagram at The Derby Kid. I also have a YouTube channel at youtube.com/duckmilkprod. Apparently, I did a live stream recently, and somebody in the live stream chat on my personal channel was like, "Hey, is this the Rebecca from Supergirl Radio?" Which clued me into the fact that I may not be promoting my personal YouTube channel very well on this podcast. So,
or maybe they never listen to the plugs. They just bounce out after we're done.
Maybe so. The plugs are some of the best
parts. The plugs are some good material. Don't skip the plugs.
No, you never know what's going to happen during the plugs. So if you want to see, I have a lot of Snyder Cut content. I'm actually going to Dallas tomorrow to visit the exhibit for the Snyder Cut that is there at the HBO Max headquarters. So I'll probably do a little video stuff there that I'm going to put up on my YouTube channel and take some pictures. I may take a Flat Supergirl with me and have her, pictured with a Nightmare Batman. Maybe I'm going to be that weirdo. HBO Max, you better be ready. Rebecca's coming tomorrow. So
be ready with your checkbook open. We love your service.
Oh my gosh, HBO Max. We consume it all the time. We have all the favorites. So that is something I'm probably going to do. I'm also a voice on The Fakest. I play Leanne Snyder on The Fakest. It's a sketch comedy podcast. You can find it at thefakest.com. Morgan is also a voice. She's actually very important in the final season of The Fakest. So you should definitely tune in and listen to that because Morgan's doing a bang up job.
I do a very medium witch voice, it turns out.
You and the other witches, the three witches, are fantastic. So very, very good. I actually, my last scene was I just recorded it recently, like my final. I wrapped on The Fakest, and Amy was there. She plays Grandma Snyder, who is maybe also a witch. Don't want to spoil anybody. But yeah, it's been fun to interact and be in scenes with witches. I can't say that I've had a lot of those interactions, so that's been very interesting.
And you can find me. Did you do all your plugs, Rebecca?
Oh, did I have more plugs? I guess I could.
Justice League?
I guess I could also mention.
I'm looking at the doc, so
I guess I could also mention. I really should mention that I'm also a contributor to another podcast called the Justice League Universe podcast, where we analyze the DC films. So starting with Man of Steel and kind of going up through the what fans refer to as the DCEU, but that's never been an official thing. Who cares what Warner Brothers thinks? We call it the DCEU, so that's what I'm going to go with. So if you're interested in analysis of films, we're currently watching and working on Zack Snyder's Justice League, so we're kind of going through there, and that's a lot of fun. I actually get to sit down and think about themes and character journeys and things like that. It really sharpens my skills here for Supergirl Radio. So if you want to listen to that, it's great. Sam and the folks over at Justice League Universe podcast. So good, Alessandro. Really smart guys over there. So I really appreciate being a part of that podcast as well.
Very cool. Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Mojotastic. You can also find me as a co-host on DCTV After Dark. Rebecca, I was going to say Rebecca, Sarah and I we need to figure out our next episode, but she's supposed to rearrange my kitchen this weekend. So hopefully when she does, we can brainstorm as we're trying to figure out how to put things away proper. She's very excited about it, actually. She's a very clean and organized person. I think she went to the container. She texted me like, I went to the Container Store. I was like, what did you get? So I'm expecting my kitchen's going to be amazing. And maybe we'll talk about it on our next episode of After Dark. So that should be
really fun.
Soon.
I'm not going to knock that. I love going to the Container Store. I can use a little bit of that in my life.
Mike and I are not what you would call organized, where, if me, it's more organized chaos, and Mike, it's more the word chaos without the organized. So we need the help in the we also have like the world's smallest kitchen, so we really need the help with the organization. So that'll be fun. So I know that we're talking about our, when we're going to record our next episode, our next guest. So stay tuned.
Very exciting.
But you can also find me on the as a co-host on the DC Legends of Tomorrow podcast, where we are going to be doing a recap of season 5 for all you people who've forgotten it. Not me. I remember it. I remember everything that happened last season in that season of that television show. But for all of you people who maybe, because it's been a year, like a whole year, haven't remembered the season, we're going to take you on a quick recap. It's going to be really the information you need before the show comes back in May. And then we have a special interview with Kelly Quinlan, who we read one of her books for our book club, our hiatus book club. And she has a new book out that came out this week, actually on Tuesday, called She Drives Me Crazy. So we're going to talk to her about Her Name in the Sky, the book that we read in book club, and also her new book, She Drives Me Crazy, which we all read and loved. So that's a really fun interview that should be coming out, I believe, sometime next week. So some good Legends content for you before the season starts up in May. And we definitely remember everything that happened last season. So it's great. It's great. No one's panicking.
I'm gonna rely on the Legends of Tomorrow podcast to be able to tell me about those things, because I don't watch the show. I just listen to the podcast. So I'm gonna need a refresher.
Rebecca needs a refresher from those podcast episodes she doesn't quite remember for the show she's never watched.
So you all are actually very important to my personal experience with Legends of Tomorrow. So I appreciate that. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. Until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon.
And since we're talking about being organized, we should all aim to be as organized as those phantoms in the Phantom Zone storage units. So make that your goal, to be as organized as those people in the Phantom Zone. I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yeah!